Good evening and welcome back to Golden Eagle Sports Report.
Tonight, we will look at the arrival of Shaka Smart, an update on the men's soccer team, and more NCAA tournament debates.
So get ready, Marquette Nation, because Golden Eagle Sports Report starts right now.
Slam dunk! Oh, that's a poster. From the Jeannie Hayes Virtual Studio at Marquette University, this is Golden Eagle Sports Report.
Marquette gets the rebound, and the champions have gone down!
Hello everyone, I'm Shane Hogan.
And I'm Kaylee Starrell.
We start with the biggest news tonight. Shaka Smart was named the 18th head coach in Marquette men's basketball history.
Smart comes to Marquette after 6 seasons at the University of Texas that included a Big 12 Conference championship.
Even though Smart didn't win a tournament game at Texas, I found out that he brings a new energy and culture that should turn things around for the program. A new era has officially begun. Shaka Smart is the new head coach of Marquette basketball, creating history as the first black head coach in program history.
It is certainly significant, and I take a lot of responsibility and pride in being the first black head coach here, especially because this is Doc's school and because of what he's done, and I'm going to be leaning heavily on him.
Shaka has built a reputation from his time at VCU and Texas as an energetic and accomplished coach. And with that resume comes core values such as relationships and growth.
Because I truly believe in the power of relationships, and it's a big reason why I coach. But the relationships don't stop with the coaches and the players. It's the players amongst each other. That's probably the most important relationship in any basketball program, is the way that the guys feel about each other. That emphasis on growth is something that our players will feel every single day. We say get 1% better. Just get 1% better each day. And you're going to be a lot better by the end of the month, by the end of the season, by the end of the next year.
Athletic Director Bill Scholl, the man who ultimately hired Shaka, believes the new coach will bring excitement back to the program.
Shaka will bring a style of play to Fiserv and the Al McGuire court that fans will love to watch. I think I speak for everyone except perhaps Shaka when I say I wish the season started tomorrow.
Shaka comes in with nearly 300 wins and 7 NCAA tournament appearances, but it's the culture that Marquette fans should expect to change. And even though it's been less than a week, Shaka is learning quickly what it means to be a Golden Eagle.
I was taught this today, so we're going to try it out. We are.
I'm Shane Hogan, Marquette Wire Sports. We now want to bring in Executive Sports Editor Zoe Comerford. Zoe, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Let's get started. So Zoe, we were both at the press conference on Monday. What was your biggest takeaway from what Shaka was saying?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I took away is that Shaka's ready to be a Marquette Golden Eagle. He did his research. I loved how he brought in his relationship with Doc Rivers and how he, under Billy Donovan, had recruited Doc's son Austin, and he has been a mentor for him. And he really, it's very clear that he wants to be at Marquette. And, Bill Scholl and President Lovell both said that not only is Shaka a great representation of Marquette basketball, he's a great representation of Marquette University. So I think he's going to do some great things, not only on the court for the players, but off the court with him and his wife Maya doing some community service work.
Absolutely, both really impressive people. Shaka talked a lot about his vision and his culture. How do you think a fresh start will benefit this program and Shaka?
Yeah, I think both sides needed a fresh start. Shaka needed a fresh start, not having won a tournament game at Texas, and Marquette needed a new start as well because, not winning a tournament game with Steve. So I think the biggest thing is that he has 3 core values, which are relationships, growth, and victory. And I think the biggest thing to take away from that is that he said we have to win the little victories before we can win the big victories in the games. We have to be on time to practice. We have to be ready to go. And at everything they're going to do, they're going to keep score. And that's what they're going to do at practice. And I think that says a lot about who he is and what he's going to bring to this program.
Yeah, absolutely. And, with that fresh start, we know this roster is going to be turning over. We know Jamal Cain and Kobe McEwen aren't coming back. Samir Torrance announced he's transferring to Syracuse. So what do you think that Shaka needs to do to kind of build up this program? We know he already lost a verbal commit as well. So where do you see this roster going as Shaka kind of gets his, hands on this program?
Right. First, speaking of roster moves, though, Marquette women's basketball just announced that they will have Lauren Van Cluning coming back for a sixth year. Before we talk about men's basketball, but I do think that obviously, Shaka has some great relationships. He said with the players from Texas and stuff, and I think that he's going to be able to make these connections with these incoming guys that will transcend, and I think that he's going to be a real big recruiting guy, and he's going to bring some great people and basketball players into Marquette University. So I think he's a great asset in terms of relationships because he said that's one of his core values.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're losing a lot of experience on this roster as well. So these other guys that were here this past year are also going to need to step up as well. But speaking of experience, Shaka's got a ton of it himself. Dating back to his run with VCU, the Final Four that was really unexpected back in 2011. How does this pedigree that Shaka brings to this program, how does that help him here?
So speaking of 2011, back 10 years ago, they went from the first four to the Final Four. He doesn't have a tournament win, but that doesn't matter. He can win in March, and that's the end point that Marquette needs to make, is that he is able to win in March.
Absolutely. Well, we'll get a little bit more on this topic a little bit later as well. Thanks for the insight, Zoe. We appreciate you coming on. And when we come back, we'll take a look at the men's and women's soccer teams and more NCAA tournament action. GSR, we'll be right back.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
When I first saw a turtle, my heart was full. Now I'm anything but lonely.
We have this deep connection, this heart connection.
He just wants to be close to you and part of your life.
Every day with turtle is a perfect day.
When I'm holding her, it makes me feel calmer.
I think everything he does shows how much he loves us.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a little bit of a lot of things,
but they're all pure
love.
Welcome back to Golden Eagle Sports Report. Once again, I'm Kaylee Starl.
And I'm Shane Hogan. Both the men's and women's soccer teams are having solid starts to their seasons this far.
The women's team actually just moved to a record of 5-4 after their loss against Creighton today. First-year forward Elsie Twombly leads the team in goals, shots, assists, and points.
The team's next match is against Xavier on Thursday, April 8th. Switching over to the men's team, they have a newcomer this season, Tasker Wheeler, who isn't someone you'd find getting consistent minutes on the pitch just yet, but it's his story that keeps him motivated.
Andrew Muzu sat down with Wheeler to take a look into his journey to Marquette.
Today here, joined by Tasker Wheeler, first-year defensive back for the men's soccer team. Tasker, thank you for joining me once again.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Today we're just going to be going through your coming to Marquette story. So why don't we just start out by saying, how did it all start with your love for sports, especially soccer, and what age did you start and why?
My love for sports, I think I was growing into a family where sports has always been big. My dad played baseball, so sports was always big in the family. But I think the big thing with soccer was I moved to London, England at a young age, at the age of 5. So I moved to London and then found the love for soccer because it's a big part of the culture and just how it's so big there and it's implemented in their culture. So from their culture to mine, it just turned into a thing that I'm so grateful for, and I couldn't be more happy that's in my life now.
Coming to Marquette, how challenging is it in your mind that you come from these great programs, but you're not receiving starting minutes just yet?
It's hard on me, It's I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say that it hasn't been hard, but I think that you need to be patient. Like your time will come, but I definitely believe without my teammates and without the coaching staff here, I'd definitely be struggling a little bit more, I guess, because I've been able to talk to people and talk to my teammates and talk to my coaches and talk to the guys with more experience that maybe have gone through the same thing as me and have different life experiences that they experience, that they can tell me and make me realize that sometimes you just need to be that little bit more patient. You got to push through the hard times to get to the good, and I truly believe that.
And what is something that you use as motivation, maybe outside of soccer, that helps you push through those hard times?
I'd say there's two main things. Probably my family and God. Family and God always get me out of bed every day. Keeping me working hard. My family, because they've done so much for me, and I love them, and I love them so much. And God, because personally I believe God has a plan, and sometimes you need to be a little bit more patient than what you want to be, and God's saying, just I have a plan for you, and everything's gonna be okay. Just be a little bit more patient and wait that little longer, and you'll be okay.
You guys are for sure getting it done. What is some advice that you would give someone who may have struggled who is struggling for playing time?
Just believing, having patience, working hard, just work hard, do stuff on sometimes, it's hard when things aren't going right, to keep working hard and keep pushing and working hard, doing stuff after practice when no one else is there. Everyone goes through hard times, I believe, it's just pushing through those hard times, and that creates the character you are.
Truly inspirational, Tasker. Thank you again for joining me on this interview.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
The men's team have their best record since their 2012 Big East Championship season, and senior Lucas Sunison leads the team with 6 goals on 16 shots this season. And the team looks to improve to 9-1-1 on Saturday, April 10th, when they take on the Xavier Musketeers.
And to get more insight on this historic season for the men's team, we bring in beat reporter Matt Yazel. Matt, welcome, and we're glad to have you.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, and so this team has been clicking on all cylinders this season. What do you think has been the biggest factor for their success?
Well, you can't talk about this team without talking about their defense. They've only given up more than 1 goal once this season. They've played 10 total games, and half of those have been shutouts, clean sheets. So this team, their goalkeeper, Chandler Hallwood, has been stellar this season. As you showed on the graphic, Alex Merceberger having a great third year, won Defender of the Week. So really a great defensive team, and that's why this team has had the success they've had so far.
Sure.
And although they've been clinching those wins, the team hasn't really been playing in a ton of high-scoring games. Is that because of the defense has been so good, or is it a mediocre offense, would you say?
Yeah, well, the defense is what's keeping them in those games, absolutely. Yeah. But the offense, outside of Lucas Sunison, who is having a fantastic junior season, the best year of his career, but outside of him, they've been inconsistent offensively. They got some production from the first year, Beto Soto, but other than that, it's been kind of goals here and there. So Merceberger actually scored a goal, which is a bit of a surprise for a defender.
Right.
But other than Sunison, they're going to need more consistency offensively to go far in the postseason.
Right, and so looking past that, the team is currently ranked number 19 in the country. So can fans expect another Big East title this season?
Well, it's been a while for them, since 2013, since they won the conference and went to the NCAA tournament. But they're a well-coached team. If something that they've been telling me all year when I've been talking to them is, if you don't give up a goal, you always got a chance to win. You're either going to tie or you're going to win. That's a pretty good philosophy for this team. And if they continue the good defense, they can go far.
Yeah. Absolutely. Louis Bennett's got the fellas playing really well right now.
Absolutely.
All right, Matt, thanks for all the insights. When we come back, we will be discussing some key March Madness takeaways and previewing the Final Four. GSR, we'll be right back.
Me and my boy Matt had it good. He had catnip that was off the hook. But one day, he brings a girl home, and she's allergic to cats. Every sneeze was a nail in my coffin. Now I'm in a shelter. It's decent, but they don't even have Wi-Fi.
Leaving hot coals improperly extinguished can cause a wildfire.
Hey guys, it's Smokey!
It looks as if Smokey is going to use the drown, stir, drown, and feel technique After the first round, a good start. Next, another drink. And finally, a close field.
Is it cool? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Smokey, catch. Oh, my bad, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
You told me not to talk to strangers. You told me not to cross the street without looking both ways.
You told me not to touch the stove. You told me not to do drugs. You told me not to drink and drive.
You gave me so many messages about how to stay safe. Why didn't you keep me safe by properly storing your gun?
And we're back in Studio 7 as we will discuss the latest madness surrounding the men's NCAA tournament. Joining me on our panel tonight is Matt Yazel, Zoe Comerford, and Tyler Peters. So guys, let's get this started. With the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 in the books, what are your main takeaways and which games, stood out to you the most? Matt, you want to take this one?
Yeah, the biggest surprise to me was Oregon State. I mean, a team that was picked last in what was considered one of the worst conferences in the nation, in the Pac-12. They weren't even going to make the tournament until they won their conference tournament. Kind of like Georgetown in the Big East really stole a bid and just went on this crazy run. Ethan Thompson, their guard, really stepped up for them. And to beat Cade Cunningham and Oklahoma State, who a lot of people had as a sleeper Final Four team, to go through Loyola Chicago, who pulled the upset over Illinois, and to come back and give the 2-seed Houston a really good game, but ultimately fall short. That's the biggest surprise to me, and it was pretty fun to watch them.
So for me, it's got to be number 11 seed UCLA. I think, they played Alabama close, and then they absolutely crushed Michigan. They kept them to 20% shooting from the three-point line, and, Michigan was also shooting 55%, from the free throw line. So Michigan did not have a good night, but, UCLA was able to pull up that upset, and, they're the first team since Shaka Smart's VCU team to make it from the first four to the Final Four. So, I am so excited to watch them in the Final Four.
That UCLA-Bama game was probably my favorite game of this tournament. I mean, went into overtime, back and forth, high scoring. It was really fun.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I think that UCLA game was definitely something that was just special to watch. The fact that they pulled away with it in the last second there, that was really exciting, and that's what the madness is all about, right? But I think another game in particular that I thought was interesting, Matt, you mentioned it briefly, but it was the game Loyola versus Oregon State, and I was a little surprised that Loyola ended up losing that game. I thought they were going to use some of that Sister Jean magic.
I did too.
a little bit further, but the reason why they lost is probably because the game was played on a Saturday and not a Sunday.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just true. They played Illinois on a Sunday, but Loyola's defense was great. That game was, not the best game individually. Loyola's offense really let them down. They're one of the best defensive teams in the country. That's why a lot of people picked them, but their offense let them down. They just weren't good enough.
Sure. And so, guys, we're going to look into the future, right? So the Final Four is set to take place this weekend. Championship on Monday night. Who are your picks for the final game, and who's going to win it all?
Well, I think Gonzaga is the easy pick here, but I'm going to go with UCLA. I think their Cinderella story run is going to continue. And I think Gonzaga is not going to be able to finish out this season undefeated. And I think UCLA is going to win it all. I don't think they're only going to beat Gonzaga. I think they're going to and I think Baylor will probably make it to the final too. But I think UCLA will pull it through.
Wow. Well, I think Gonzaga is going to smoke UCLA, to be honest with you. I'm talking 30-point plus blowout, possibly. I mean, that's just such a mismatch. I think Houston-Baylor has the potential to be a pretty good game, little Texas in-state matchup. I liked Houston a lot this year, really good defensively. Quentin Grimes has had a great year. But Baylor is just too good to me right now. They've really stepped up defensively in this tournament, and when you have elite guard play, which they do, with Jared Butler, Davion Mitchell, Maceo Teague, 3 All-American guards. That's something that no other team in the country can say. So I got Baylor beating Houston, and I got Baylor pulling the upset over Gonzaga. It's not easy to pick. I like Gonzaga a lot. I think they're a great team. It should be a championship game for the ages if it happens. But I got Baylor pulling the upset.
So I'm going to disagree with you both. I think Gonzaga is going to come out and, they have the momentum. They've been crushing this tournament. I think they're going to come out and go 32-0 and win the NCAA tournament because I think UCLA, after beating a #1 seed, is going to get tired like Loyola did, and they're going to choke against another #1 seed. And I just think after you beat a #1 seed, you just can't win again.
But they did it once. Why can't they do it again?
I have a feeling Gonzaga, Drew Timme, he's been really hot, and I think Gonzaga's going to come out with that fire, that passion, and I think they're going to win it all.
To your point, Gonzaga has just cruised through this tournament.
For sure.
When we were picking our bracket, I said that they had an easy road to the Final Four. This is quite possibly one of the easiest roads to the national championship game I've ever seen. It's absurd. And people might use that to discredit them, but you can't. They've blown out all these teams. They are an incredible team, multiple NBA players on that team. And like I said, I think they're probably the favorites. It's hard for me to pick against them, but who knows? When you get 2 great teams in a setting like the national championship game, anything can happen.
Who knows? I'm hoping that, COVID doesn't affect, we've only seen 1 game that COVID affected. I'm hoping COVID is not a factor in the Final Four for both the men's and the women's side.
Yeah, and I think Gonzaga's had they've steamrolled through this tournament like you said, Matt. But I think eventually one of these teams has got to give them a run for their money. And I really think it's going to be UCLA.
I think Baylor will give them a run for the money.
Baylor for sure if they make it to the finals,
yeah.
But I don't know. I just think it's interesting. We'll see what happens. You never know. Gonzaga could shoot 20% from the floor.
That's true.
Like Michigan did. So we'll see.
Sure. I'm gonna take you up on that. I do think Gonzaga's also gonna take it, but we'll take your hot takes. Okay.
If they win, I'm just saying from day one, I said that Gonzaga was gonna win it all. So since I have been on the C block, I have said Gonzaga was gonna win it all.
Listen, you got the coach last week, right? You predicted Shaka Smart, so we'll see if your predictions stay true, right? So we're gonna say thank you guys for all your hot takes. Don't go anywhere because Shane Hogan will share his final take about Marquette's new head coach. GESR will be right back.
Me and my boy Matt had it good. He had catnip that was off the hook. But one day, he brings a girl home, and she's allergic to cats. Every sneeze was a nail in my coffin. Now I'm in a shelter. It's decent, but they don't even have Wi-Fi.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
When I first saw Turtle, my heart was full. Now anything but lonely.
We had this deep connection, this heart connection.
He just wants to be close to you and part of your life.
Every day with Turtle is a perfect day.
When I'm holding her, it makes me feel calmer.
I think everything he does shows how much he loves us.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a little bit of a lot of things.
But they're all pure
love.
Welcome back. Once again, I'm Shane Hogan. In my 4 years here at Marquette, I know it's been a while, there's been one stagnant identity of Marquette men's basketball. Lots of potential and unfulfilled expectations. I'm here to tell you, expect that to change. Shaka Smart is going to bring a new energy and culture that this program has been lacking over the last few years. Marquette fans might point to the tournament losses and say, what's different? Why not just keep Wojo? I'll tell you what's different. This is Shaka's third stop as head coach. He's got 7 tournament appearances and a Final Four run with a program no one expected would even get there. The old guy had 2 appearances in 7 seasons, including some really bad losses. Yes, Shaka will ultimately need to win those tournament games, but I truly believe he will. This program needed a dramatic facelift, and it's getting it. 4 players are leaving the team, and a new coaching staff is expected to join Shaka. This team will look much different come fall 2021. Shaka Smart was a big name hire for Marquette. You can't overstate the significance that he is the first person of color to lead this program. It's a history-making move, and it's one that should fire up this fan base that has felt let down the last few seasons. Relationships, growth, and victory are Shaka's 3 core values. In order to fulfill those values, Shaka will need to develop these men, build the foundation of success and excitement around the program, and yes, win a dang tournament game. Because that's truly how fans will judge this era of Marquette basketball. Shaka has all the tools to bring this program back to a place where fans can be proud of. Now it's time for the new guy to get to work and prove he was the smart choice. That's going to do it for us tonight here on GSR. Thanks for tuning in, and for Kaylee Starl, I'm Shane Hogan. Good night, Marquette.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
When I first saw a turtle, my heart was full. Now I'm anything but lonely.
We had this deep connection, this heart connection.
He just wants to be close to you and part of your life.
Every day with Turtle is a perfect day.
When I'm holding her, it makes me feel calmer.
I think everything he does shows how much he loves us.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a little bit of a lot of things.
But they're all pure
love.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
When I first saw a turtle, my heart was full. Now I'm anything but lonely.
We had this deep connection, this heart connection.
He just wants to be close to you and part of your life.
Every day with Turtle is a perfect day.
When I'm holding her, it makes me feel calmer.
I think everything he does shows how much he loves us.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a little bit of a lot of things.
But they're all pure
love.